Renee is going to be right with us. She was just having technical difficulties with the voice, so I couldn't hear her. So she's actually in the car. She's driving somewhere that she can stop and figure that out, and then she's going to pop right in with us. So how's everyone this morning? Yeah, it's hi, Popo. All right, let's see who's here. We have our first one, my Bonnie. Good morning, my beautiful soul. How are you? Mwah. I love you. And then we have Darlene. Good morning, Darlene. I'm glad you're feeling better. I was reading down the chat. So yes, that's awesome. Love it. Good thing you did take the week off. And then we have Popo Joe. Hey, handsome. How are ya? Are you at work? I bet you are. Yeah, she's having a little bit of technical difficulties. I could not hear her. She could hear me. So she was driving. So hopefully she's going to find a spot that she can pull over and get that situated so she can pop on. Yeah, this is going to be a great interview. It's going to be a great interview. This is awesome. I adore Renee. She's amazing. And I know that you all think that too. So I'm ready to dig a little deeper in to Renee's life outside of YouTube. So yeah. Ronnie, my Twisty. Good morning, Twisty. How you doing? I hope you're warm. I think about you very often. I know I never text you but I do. I think about you a lot. That damn furnace. Everyone's saying hi back and forth. Back and forth. Here we go. Honey. Good morning, Pamela. How are you? Mwah, mwah, mwah. Good morning, sweetness. And we got Bobby. Bobby. How are you? Yeah. And as people are coming in, like I said before, Renee is just having some difficulties. I couldn't hear her. She's going to be coming in as soon as she can get that straight away with. I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad right. I could kill. Ooh, why? Ronnie, honey, call me. I'll bring the shovel. I got the shovel. I got you, girl. I don't ask questions. I just bring the shovel. Oh, who else is here? Ooh, Amber. Oh my God, Amber. What the hell are you going to do with that storage unit? What the girl? I hope you're going to have people helping you because that storage unit is amazingly large. So much stuff. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Oh, I think my blush is too dark. Huh. I don't think I put it on the right way. Okay. It is what it is, right? And we got Debbie. Good morning, Debbie. How's your boobies? I hope they're well, honey. I hope they're not sad and they're at high standards today, smiling. Over the effing furnace and stove. Get a hold of Kevin. Kevin, I know that you were talking to him this week in the chat, I think on Wednesday. Get a hold of him. Talk to him. See if he can do anything for you. Get these people going. Miss Joni's here. Good morning, Miss Joni. Mwah, how are you? I hope you're well, hun. Bobby, you're silly. I'm just going down the list. Okay, so Joe is saying that he's helping Renee. Thank you. Thank you. Darlene said, yes, my package that got here yesterday, no issues. Awesome. Oh, Susana, I wanted a kiss. Oh, you got them all. You got them all. You have them, honey. Everyone's still saying hello. Yeah. So I don't know. Yesterday, guys, if you guys saw yesterday, while I was on Tania's show, I'm just bullshitting with you guys right now until we get Renee back. I got a jewelry box in. I literally was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. I did not expect this the first time I got a jewelry box in, and holy, the stuff that's in here. I found silver. I think some pieces of gold. Joan Rivers, origami owl stuff, Ralph Lauren. Holy, like, guys, if you guys get a chance, get these boxes if you're selling jewelry. They're so well worth it, and they're in abundance. Let me see if I can show you guys. Hold on. Let me see. While we're waiting. I know it's not about this, but trying to just occupy some time. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. It is crazy. Crazy. And I was taking them out, so I have them like easy for me to just pull them out and stuff. But guys, look. Is that not a gorgeous piece right there? And I think it might be vintage. I'm not sure, but look at the clasp on that. It is so beautiful. Is that shop at Goodwill? Yes, Pamela, it is. Absolutely. And this is like all an inlay and stuff with beautiful pearl and all the rhinestones. That is the back of it. I'm just floored. Floored. And there was a piece in here that, look at this one. That, I think, was a Sarah Coventry, was it? It's marked. Is it? Oh, no, this was a Chico's. That's a Chico's. And Susana, check the bottom of the box. Right, Bobby? If you can't find me, check the bottom of the box is absolutely right. And then look at that piece right there, like the wooden piece. It's so cool. Like, that's a bracelet right there. And I think it like maybe needs to be restrung or something, but yeah. Like, are you kidding me? And guys, I got to tell you something. There is so much of, oh, please work. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, yes. We got her. We got her. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be.
I went down to the truck stop to get breakfast and to get away from the dogs because I was afraid the dogs would bark while we're doing this. And it usually works down there, and it didn't.
I'm just glad.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
care. Do not be sorry. No.
I'm here.
I was trying to just keep them entertained with some jewelry, but
yeah, it looked like a really big jewelry box.
Yes, it's huge. It was overwhelming. Definitely overwhelming. So how are you doing this morning?
Well, other than trying to get here to you, hold on one second. Mm-hmm. I'm doing all right. I hate being late to anything, and I hate it when things go wrong. So let's hook up the battery just in case. I don't want the computer to go off on me. I think I got it in the right spot. All right. Maybe we're ready.
Just guys in the chat, let me know if the background is too busy. If it's too busy, I'll put it back on a different, a solid color. So we're buzzing with life.
I see. Cute.
Yeah. So, my dear.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Eric. Everyone was saying good morning.
Good morning.
Steph sells stuff by the seashore.
I was, Ronnie. I was patronizing the truck stop.
Did you get anything good to eat there?
Oh, McDonald's. Just a sandwich and sweet tea.
All right. So let me ask you off the bat, what McDonald's sandwich is the best for breakfast?
For breakfast, I get the sausage egg McMuffin. I don't think
Yes,
but that's what I get.
You're my girl. Love it. Love it. Love it. Good morning, Peanut. How are you? Okay. All right.
So I was yelling at Joe because I went into the hut, and I haven't been into the hut since I hurt my ankle the second time, like in November. And I was like, you got to clean this up. It's a mess. He's got shit everywhere. He takes over all my space.
So you went in there yesterday?
No, I went in there today to try to get on the computer out there so that the dogs wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
After the phone incident. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a freaking mess. He hasn't taken out the trash. He's got all of his shipping stuff everywhere.
And then she hung up on me, he said.
I did. As soon as I got connected to you, I hung up.
Oh. Get over it, Joe. Hey, Countess April. How are you, honey?
I just ratted him out.
You did. Yeah. That's okay.
He's
understands. Yeah.
So if the dogs bark, I'm sorry.
The dogs are there?
Oh, yeah. If they bark.
It's okay. It is what it is.
They're starting to wrestle now, the two boys.
So tell me, we could just jump right into it. Where were you born?
In St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, you're from Missouri.
I am.
Now, did you stay there throughout your school years, your childhood?
Yes.
Okay. Up until what age? Until you left?
24.
Oh, you were 24. Okay.
Yeah. I got married to my first husband and we moved to Florida.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So what kind of a student were you in school?
Well, I would say high school, I was just average. I didn't really put any effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And in college, I was on the dean's list. So just had to make a big change, in my life.
Yeah.
Decide that school was important. I guess because you're paying for it then. I don't know.
So why do you think you were just an average student?
Well, I had trouble, math was very difficult for me. In fact, I turned out after I went through college, became a teacher. And when I became a teacher, I realized I had a learning disability. So, and I think my parents knew that I had a learning disability, but back then there really wasn't that much help kind of thing.
Yeah.
So math was just not my favorite. And I was too interested in hanging out with my friends,
Okay.
And
yeah.
It just didn't seem important.
Now, were you in any school sports or any kind of activities growing up?
Not at school. Growing up, I played softball. I played fast pitch probably until I was 13. But other than that, no.
Now, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a sister and a brother. My sister is 6 years older and my brother is 6 years younger.
Oh, wow. 6-year intervals. Nice.
Yeah.
And how were your parents while you were growing up? Were your parents supportive of you or?
My parents were very busy. My dad was a carpenter and my mom was a real estate agent. And then she owned 2 real estate offices. So they were busy. I would say overall they were supportive.
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get to make it to a lot of places. He's kissing me. He's like, keep trying to stick his tongue in my mouth. Okay. But overall, they were supportive. My mom was very supportive of softball because she played softball.
Okay.
She was really hard on me. And I think that's probably why I quit at the age that I did. Mm-hmm. Because she was just very hard on my performance and everything, because she was really good. My mom, she played on like 6 or 7 teams, as far as, like she was always playing softball. And, with her being, sometimes she was my coach, and with her being my coach, she was extra hard on me because, I needed to set a good example.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it was just very aggravating,
Yeah.
So
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. So you said you got married the first time at the age of 24.
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys moved down to Florida.
Yes.
Where did you settle in Florida?
Bellevue, Florida. It's probably 30 to 45 minutes south of Gainesville. Mm-hmm. Gainesville, Florida is where the university is at, and typically people know where that's at, the University of Florida. Go Gators. So that's where I settled in.
Go ahead.
My ex-husband, his grandparents lived down here. So we moved down here to be closer to them. Plus, they were willing to help us with our first home.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
And you had 2 children with him? I
did, yes.
Okay. And then how old were the children when you got divorced?
3 and 4.
Okay. 3 and 4. And what happened in that marriage? Did you just kind of like grow apart, or?
He became physically and mentally abusive. And I just couldn't stay in that relationship. I guess I say he became that way, but looking back and talking to friends and stuff, he was always very controlling. And I guess I just didn't see it. And after we had kids, he was worse. I think because I really wasn't I couldn't give him as much of attention as I was before because I had kids. Mm-hmm. So it got really bad. And I basically took the kids and left in the middle of the night kind of thing.
So let me ask you, how many years were you married to him total?
10.
10 years?
Yeah.
Wow. So at 10 years, you just felt like you just had enough and you're not going to take this anymore?
Yeah, and I didn't want to take the risk of my children becoming, abused. It was my mom was abusive, so I told myself that I would never be in a relationship like that ever again.
Yeah.
Especially one that I could easily get out of. With your parents, it's kind of hard to get out of that relationship.
Right.
So I just had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. So,
did you have a support system behind you when you left?
I left and met my brother and sister met me in Georgia and then helped me get the rest of the way to Missouri. And I stayed there for a while and came back. So when I came back to Florida, I didn't have a support system here. I was raising my kids by myself with no family. So
he wasn't in the children's lives.
He would see them whenever he felt he could, I guess you would say. He saw them more regularly up until the time, they were in middle school, and then he just stopped seeing them. It's kind of a long story, but he stopped.
How did that make you feel as a mom?
As a mom, very concerned for my children. I mean, one of the reasons I stayed in Florida is hoping they could have a relationship with their dad. Also scared of the relationship that they might have with their dad. But when you go through a divorce, you're kind of tied to where you were living. I did get permission to move if I wanted to move to Missouri, and I told my ex begged me not to, and I told him that I would give it a year, and because when I got divorced, I wasn't working. I had left work 2 years prior to my divorce to take care of my children. At that time, I was a human resource manager for the University of Florida. And I quit just so that I could be with them. And so when we got divorced, I didn't have a job either. So I had no money coming in. But I told him I would give it a year, see if I could find a job and get situated. And I did. I found a job. And he saw the kids, he lived in Gainesville at the time, and I lived in Ocala, which is about 30 minutes away. So he would only see them on the weekends. Like every other weekend. Not every weekend, but every other weekend. He was pretty good with them. We had some problems along the way, but he was pretty good with them, with me not in the picture, I guess.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to have them for long lengths of time, every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was a shitty husband, and he was a shitty dad.
But you were there. You were giving the 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah, it is. When it's just you, it's kind of hard. And, in my 30s and 2 little ones and no job, no family.
Wow. But you're a very strong person after 10 years. Well, it took you the 10 years. Some people don't learn and just stay and keep repeating the pattern. And it sounds like you were looking out for your children, that you wanted to stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want the cycle to repeat.
Exactly.
I have a dog wanting on my lap. Come on. So these are my children now.
So, when did you become a school teacher? Because you got married at 24, but when did you become a teacher?
Not until after I met Joe and we got married.
Really?
Yeah. I was a human resource manager, training manager for years with county government. And then I worked at the newspaper, which is where I met Joe when we started dating.
Right.
And then after we got married, I became a school teacher at the school that my children were going to.
Okay. And how long did you do that?
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
And what happened that you're no longer teaching?
Breast cancer happened. And that took a real toll on my body. And after breast cancer, they thought I had cervical cancer and had to have surgery for that. I've been going through multiple surgeries for my breast cancer. I have neuropathy, that has turned, after all of this, I have neuropathy and fibromyalgia. And I couldn't be on my feet anymore like I was before. I have balance problems. If you don't know that already, I have balance problems. And we felt that it was just best for me not to work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really hard on my body to do that, because I taught elementary school, so you're on your feet all day, like you take recess and everything. And I was also losing some functions in my hand, like gripping and being able to write.
Yeah.
And some memory issues. I had to basically, I just needed to leave, which broke my heart because I love children. And the children are stop that. They turn into be your kids.
Yeah.
You know, have 23 of them, and they're your kids. I actually had just gone back into the classroom, probably like the year before I had breast cancer. For 6 years at that school, I was an administrator. I taught children with learning disabilities, and then I became the school's basically the data collected. I collected data for the school, analyzed the data, and determined which children were behind and needed help. So that's what I did a lot of.
It sounds like you've always held a very prominent position, you know.
I guess, I don't know that prominent. It's just more where I was responsible for a lot of things. And I did, when I first started teaching, I was an aide, and then I was teaching. I taught in the classroom for a year and a half, and then they promoted me into that position. It's kind of a lateral move. You're still considered a teacher.
Yeah.
But you just have a little bit more administrative responsibilities.
Yeah.
So
I want to take it back a little bit here, because you were talking about breast cancer, and I know a lot of people go through it. How did you feel you had a lump, or how did that happen?
No.
The process.
My son was getting ready to leave for college. He went to UNF, and he was moving the day I went. I wanted to be with him because I had a doctor's appointment to have my mammogram, and I wanted to be with him in order to get him situated and get him ready to move up to school. And I was literally driving towards home, and was going to pass right by the doctor's office. I was like, I'm not going to go. I don't have time for this. And then I realized if I didn't go, I'm the type of person that probably wouldn't go until the following year, because, school had just started. I was teaching. I wouldn't have had time for it. So I decided to go ahead and go. And when I was there, I did the mammogram. They found some spots. They weren't real big. I had 3 areas, and they wanted me to get it checked. So they said it could be cancer. That I would need to have a biopsy done. So I think God was right there with me, telling me you need to go to that appointment. I had invasive ductal carcinoma, and it's a very fast moving cancer. So had I not gone, it would have been really bad. worse than, what it was. So,
so you had the biopsies done.
I had the biopsy done. It was the most horrible experience I think a woman could have to go through. We go to the gynecologist. You put your legs up in stirrups and you're like, humility. I'd already had 2 kids and everything, but they put you in this small room and there's like this bed. It's not a bed. It's more like if you're going in for surgery, one of those small little gurneys or whatever. And 2 other people, a nurse and a doctor in there, and you're face down, and you have to put your breast in this hole so that they can get to it to do a needle biopsy. And it's the most uncomfortable position, at least for me, it was the most uncomfortable position to put my body in. And it does take a while to do the biopsy. So
it was awake.
Yeah, you're awake.
You're awake.
I was awake. They did it, using a needle to do the biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just got the biopsy done and had met with my gynecologist, and she referred me to a surgeon just in case it was cancer. Met with the surgeon. She said it was, that was the dog.
I know.
Okay. And then 2 weeks later, I met with the surgeon to find out if I had cancer. And Joe was with me. It was very surreal, to go in, and it's just something you never forget either. Like, she came in, she grabbed a piece of notebook paper, and she sat down and she said, "You have cancer." And I remember sitting there, was holding Joe's hand, and every bit of breath he had in his body was gone. He became just so heavy. And you're trying to focus and listen to the doctor on what they're saying. Like, she drew a picture and she was telling me where my cancer was. And it was just really hard to focus on what she was saying, because I just kept hearing, I have cancer.
Yeah.
And I left there. I had to quit smoking for years. I had quit smoking because I was afraid of cancer. And when we left, I said, "Joe, go get me a cigarette." He's like, "No." I said, "No, go get me a cigarette." So I smoked and got sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And then I kind of moved on. It was difficult to tell the people that I work with that I had cancer. It was most difficult telling my children I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time I was going through a court battle with my ex-husband. And that was really rough. Because they were still at an age, if something happened to me, they'd have to live with their dad. And I wasn't prepared for that at all.
So you had so many things going on. You had cancer. You have to deal with those feelings. And now you also had, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're also thinking about your children. God forbid if something happens to you.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Because Joe is the person that they knew as their dad.
Yeah.
No, my oldest was going to college, so he would have been able to do what he wanted. But I still had my youngest in high school. And, they hadn't talked to their dad in years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just wasn't a good situation to be in. But we made it,
Absolutely.
we made it. I credit that to God,
Mm-hmm.
very much so. It kept me, God kept me sane for the most part.
Mm-hmm. What made you get up every single morning and fight?
Um, my kids and Joe, and I taught up until the time I had to have my surgery. So, my children at school, I had to prepare to have a sub come in long term, and these were my babies, and I wanted to make sure that they had everything they needed.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a small town, so not only did I have those, students that I felt were my children, I knew their parents. I lived in the town that I taught in, and I live in the South, so everybody knows your business. And I felt like I had an obligation to them as well. So, um,
Very
getting up
inspiring.
in every morning to go to school and prepare for them and get my kids off to school. Now, my oldest was in college, and I felt like that was horrible. He's away at school for the first time, and then he knows that I have cancer and I'm going to have surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to be able to come home.
Yeah.
That I needed to get up every morning and make sure that my family was taken care of.
And how old were you when you got diagnosed?
Gosh, how old was I? 39.
39.
39. Yeah. I had to think. I had not turned 40 yet.
Now, when you had surgery, was it a double mastectomy or just one?
No, it was a uteral mastectomy. I did not have breast cancer in my left breast, just my right breast.
Yeah.
So I went through a deep flap reconstruction surgery. I was in surgery for 11 hours. They did the mastectomy, and then a deep flap is where they cut you from hip to hip, and they remove skin and your fat to make a new breast. So I did that instead of doing a skin saving mastectomy. They did the skin saving, but I decided not to do the implant because after hearing what you go through, either way was going to be difficult, but what people go through to get an implant after breast cancer is not a pleasant experience. None of it's a pleasant experience, but like they put in, I don't know how to explain it. They put in, a form, I guess you would say, and they continue to spread your skin until you can get a breast implant. And I was afraid that my body would reject that because I have issues. Had issues in the past with certain things that I wasn't willing to go through that.
Ronnie said that it's like a tissue expander.
Yeah. And I just wanted to get it done and over with. I will say that waking up after having a mastectomy and going through the deep flap surgery, when you wake up, you have a breast.
Okay.
Where you don't have, to me, I think it's more trauma to wake up and not have a breast there. That's I would think.
Mhm.
It was still traumatic,
Yeah.
waking up. I was not when I went through this surgery, they put you I was in ICU with heart patients. That's where they put me because you have to be monitored 24/7, not 24/7, 24 hours for the first 24 hours. Anyway, because then the reason is that when we do the deep flap to keep the skin alive and the tissues alive, they have to reconnect all the nerves, all the blood vessels, and everything. And they put you in a bed. Your head's tilted down a little bit. You're not allowed to move.
Wow.
For this, I don't remember how many hours. You're not allowed to move because of trying to make sure that your skin is getting what it needs to stay alive. And then they get you up pretty quick after that. After the first 24 hours, they got me up and to walk. And that was horrible, because you don't realize, you forget, your brain forgets.
Yeah.
You're no longer as tall as you were before because they have taken skin away. They take out your belly button, they move your belly button, and they sew you back up. And I went to get up to stand up, and you can't stand up straight.
Oh,
and I thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain.
Really?
They let me sit down for a few minutes, and they're like, don't stand up straight. You have to walk. So Joe was there whenever they did that. Joe was with me all the time. He stayed in the room with me, except for when I would say, go home and get me this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he helped me walk. You have tubes hanging out of you. I had 2 tubes going in to my new breast and one coming out of each hip for drainage. And then I had another one going in around my belly button that would pump in morphine to keep the pain away. But I was home in 3 days. In 3 days, they sent me home.
Now, did you have to have chemo or anything like that?
I did not. I did not have to have chemo because of the mastectomy. I did not have to have chemo other than a chemo pill. I didn't have like the traditional chemo or radiation. So I was blessed, I think, because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
It was quite the experience.
Wow. My dear, you're a fighter. And do you do support groups?
I did whenever they got me into surgery like within 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think I went to maybe one before my surgery, and then I went after twice, and I felt like I didn't belong there because there were women there that were dying of cancer, and I no longer had cancer. So I didn't want to go to a support group and talk about how I didn't have cancer and how it was affecting me.
Okay.
Still, whenever you have people that are literally dying. So I didn't go. Beverly said my friend didn't save her nipples because she didn't want to have to wear a bra. That's interesting because like they would not save my nipple because they wouldn't replace it because it could be infected, basically, where you could get cancer again. But they did make a nipple. I went in for surgery, and they made a nipple out of my stomach skin. So I have like it's not red. I need a tattoo is what I need.
Mhm.
But they did make it look like I have a nipple. And I hardly ever wear a bra anymore at all. They're where they're supposed to be, and
There you go.
I just hardly wear a bra.
So do you still think about, if it might come back, or do you ever feel that way, or
You always feel that way.
you always feel
I think that every cancer patient I have ever talked to,
Mhm.
you're always waiting for that other shoe to drop. I'm always worried that I know that, I have stomach fat on the side. It's not going to come back there, but I always worry that I'm going to have breast cancer in my other breast, or cancer show up somewhere else. I think that that's just a normal reaction from anyone that has been through that.
But it's not something that you wake up with in your mind every day, is it?
No, I don't. If I dwelled on it, I
Mhm.
wouldn't get out of bed.
There you go.
It's just, whenever you get ready to go for your next mammogram or you're going in for a checkup, it just all comes rushing back. That experience, waiting in that little room that's like 4 foot by 4 foot after they do your your mammogram, and you're waiting for them to come and tell you if you're okay or not. You relive the experience of
Right.
them coming in and telling you that something is going on. I hate going to get a mammogram, but I do it. I do it every year. And if you're not getting a mammogram, get a mammogram.
Yeah.
So, but I relive that experience. Soon after I found out I had cancer, 6 months after I found out I had cancer, another lady that I worked with had turned out to have breast cancer. And then 6 months after that, another teacher had breast cancer, and both of them passed away. And
I'm so sorry.
that was hard. And you go through the why not, especially the one, she had such young children and had just gotten remarried, was married for like 10 months. And, I think, I would have traded. I would have traded her. She had so much more to do than I did. And if I could have had the experiences to make her experience less, like she had chemotherapy and radiation, and it spread, losing her hair. I would have traded some of that to take the burden off of her.
I think that maybe someone like that, her time that she had here, she got what she needed done in this time. You haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think God has a purpose for me. I don't know what that is yet. But I often wonder if we ever know what God's purpose is for us.
Right.
Just try to live your life the best that you can, and
That's right.
and listen to Him and let Him guide you. But I do wish sometimes He'd just tell me what my purpose is.
So it sounds like you have a huge faith.
I do. I do. I mean, I think that it waxes and wanes, if you would kind of say, like sometimes I feel like I've lost my faith, uh,
Mhm.
and not completely, but lost a majority of it. And then you go through where, your faith is unwavering. But I think that's kind of natural for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think the reason our faith kind of does that, or we let our faith kind of wax and wane, is because we don't know our purpose.
Right.
Um, and we get caught up in the bad things and not the blessings.
Not the blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got through this.
Yeah.
Well, you're still going through it, of course. I understand that. But after you were cleared, have you been, how many years has it been since you've been?
4 years. It's been 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. They monitor you every 6 months until you make it to 5 years.
Okay.
Whenever I make it to 5 years, I'll get to come off the chemo medication that I'm on, and only be seen once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So you still do take that pill once a month?
Once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah.
Does it give you any kind of side effects?
It did at first. It makes you have hot flashes because my cancer was created because of estrogen. It's kind of hard to explain, but so I had to go on medication that would deplete that, I guess, so that because of the type of cancer I had, to try to, keep it from coming back. So I went through hot flashes like crazy. Like when I first started taking it, I was having hot flashes like every 10 minutes, and it was horrible. And there's nothing they can do about it. They tell you that, the longer you take it, the less that you'll have. So, I was going through menopause, so that was bad enough. And then they gave me medicine that was going to make it worse. And my hair thinned out, but I didn't lose it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I've got a lot of hair, so it didn't really make that big of a difference.
Renee, let me ask you, how did the kids feel? How did you, with everything that you were going through with yourself, how did you deal with your children?
Well, my son wasn't here. And I did see him, occasionally, but it just, by the time he was able to come home and visit, it had been months past my surgery. I didn't really realize that it affected him as much as it did. Like after he graduated from college, he opened up to me and said, it was just really hard. My first year with you having cancer and me not being able to be there to help out and make sure you're okay, like really make sure you're okay instead of you telling me you're okay. Academically, it added more stress on him. He has always been a straight A student, always. Full ride to UNF, and he got his associate's degree 2 weeks prior to graduating high school. So he had already been to college for his last 2 years of high school, and then went to a university and is now where most kids their age are taking entry level freshman classes.
Right.
He's taking junior level classes, and just added a lot of stress being away from home, higher level classes, and with students that are older than you. But he made it. He made it through. He ended up getting 1B his entire career. So, yeah.
And what about your youngest son?
My youngest son at the time was not a son. He was my daughter.
Yeah.
And at that time, I say he because that's what he is now.
Right. That's why I said your youngest son.
Yeah. he was very helpful, helped me with, getting up and out of bed and making sure I had food because, I was stuck at home in recovery for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
He was really concerned. There was a lot of concern there. He's like me, very stubborn, and really doesn't let other people know that he's sad or, that it was something that he kept from me. I think that more than anything, everybody was kind of holding their breath to see if I was going to make it or not. So.
Now, I want to talk a little about your youngest son, but
Okay.
daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know at an early age that there was something that was kind of off?
No.
You didn't?
No.
When did you find out?
When he told me.
At the age of?
17.
And how did that make you feel?
Angry.
Why? And I'm only bringing this up because there's other people out there that are going through the same thing that that you went through, and hopefully.
At first, I think I was kind of in shock because, he was going to therapy for anger management and depression. And I felt like a lot of that was due to his father and, me going through cancer and everything. So I was kind of in shock. And then I was kind of relieved that maybe that's why he was so angry, and depressed. And then I got kind of angry because he's 17. He hasn't really had any worldly experience. How did he know? He dressed like a girl, liked to dress like a girl, liked to fix his hair, as far as I knew, okay, at that time. Dated, had, gone on a couple different dates with different boys. They never really went that far, but I think in my mind, it was typical teenage dating type of stuff. Then I went through, well, how does he know that he's a he? Because a lot of this is sensationalized in the school system. Like I remember him saying, one of his friends was bisexual one week, and then the next week they were straight, and then he had a friend that was born a biological boy, but was a girl. And TV kind of sensationalizes it. And I think at that age, you don't have a good grasp on your sexuality, nor you know what your gender is because that's what you see. and I'm sure we've had lots of talks. So, he explained how he felt. I felt like he was too young to determine, just not having those experiences,
Yeah.
not, when you were in high school is horrible,
Mm.
horrible. Because, you've got friends. When I was in high school, I didn't date very much. I had a couple boyfriends that were long-term or whatever, but looking back on it, it's just, you're learning how to become the person you want to be. And I just was angry. I was angry at society. Upset with myself. Like, why didn't I see any of it? Because I stop that. I'm close with my kids. I taught at the school that they went to as elementary. When they went to middle school, I knew their teachers. I knew the principal. When they went to high school, and we were close. Like, I went to school in the mornings whenever they did, and I came home whenever they did. And,
Mm-hmm.
Were
you mad at him?
Yes. Yes. Because I didn't think that he was old enough to make that decision.
Okay. And it's been how many years now?
He's 21, 18, 19, 20, 4 years. 4 years. I was angry because I knew the life, or I felt like I knew the life that he would have would be hard. And people would be very unaccepting. And I didn't want to see my child discriminated against, or hurt by anyone. I very much felt like I lost a child.
I was just going to ask you, did you mourn the death of your daughter?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It was difficult at first because, he knew for, I don't know how long, at least a year or two, or always, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said he felt like he knew all along he was a boy, but didn't know what was wrong. What he would say, what was going wrong with him.
Yeah.
I kind of lost track where I was at, but overall, I was worried.
Yeah.
For him.
Almost afraid of the unknown.
Yeah, and concerned. It's still to this day, I worry about, did he make the right decision?
Yeah. Which is a natural feeling.
Yeah. He wanted me, I read it. This is what I was going to say. Right at first, like, he would correct us, I'm a boy, he was, if I said something like her or she, or call him by his dead name, which I had no idea what that meant at first.
I have no idea.
It just means that's not their name anymore. That's dead and gone. And at first, he was going by the name Quinn. Was it Quinn? No, Chase. He liked the middle name Quinn, Chase. And I was like, I hate that name. Mm-hmm. So we had a discussion about a name. I was like, if you are my son, I want to have a chance to help name you.
Exactly.
So he goes by Levi, because that if Joe got, Joe got me pregnant after my tubes were tied and I lost a baby.
Oh.
I had an ectopic pregnancy. And if Joe and I would have had a boy, we would have named him Levi. So he did take on the name Levi and the middle name Quinn. And he wants to, when he changes his name, take Joe's last name as his own. So I got to at least, play a part in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so did Joe, which I think kind of helped.
Yeah.
With the transition. It took a while to get to where I just call him he.
Mm-hmm.
If I start talking about who he was before, I will start mixing pronouns and I sound like a crazy person. I still wonder if he made the right decision. He did have a mastectomy.
He did. Okay.
I have a lot of mixed emotions about that, given the fact that I had breast cancer. Insurance paid for his mastectomy, which bothered me. Like, it didn't pay it at 100%. It paid it like if it was a medical thing. Yet I couldn't get I wanted both of my breasts removed. I didn't want to have to worry about the other one getting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance would not do that because it was not necessary. But here I have an 18-year-old deciding that they want to get rid of their breasts because they're a boy. And I understand that it was important to him, but it pissed me off. Yeah. The rules and regulations. I had a medical condition and it wasn't paying for a lot of what I went through, but it did pay for his. Hormones are really easy to get. I went with him to his endocrinologist, and the first time the doctor saw him, within 10 minutes of walking in, was like, okay, how long have you been living as a male? I see you have hair on your legs and under your arms. And he goes, I've been living as a male for a year. Okay, well, we didn't know that. And the doctor kept correcting us because we were still in the first stages of changing the pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
And within 15 minutes was like, okay, well, when do you want to start hormones? Your testosterone. I was like, wait, don't you have them go through some kind of psychological evaluation? Right. And they're like, no, it's not required by law anymore because it causes too many, basically it causes too many people to commit suicide and so they felt that the endocrinologists could make that decision. They did not need to go to counseling. Now, my son had been going to counseling, but the counselor had never even heard him say that he thought he was a boy. Okay. So it's kind of pushed on you. Like, the first thing the counselor is like, we have a lot of kids that, know that they're of a different gender. And right. If you don't address it properly, the suicide rates go up. That's one of the first things they tell you. And you're like panicking because there's just too much. You're on information overload. And I really felt like because of his age, he needed to go to counseling. And not necessarily have someone decide it for him, but to really work through how he was feeling, right. what his feelings were. Then they decided we could have him meet another person within the practice. And the doctor's like, I trust her completely. She's never been wrong, da, 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 da. So we met with this person a few weeks later, and within 20 minutes of talking to our son, this doctor decided that he was a he. And I'm like, okay, can you tell me why you think that? But they couldn't put that into words. It was just,
Wow.
it was like I was in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But, and then I thought, I go back to my faith. What have I done? Did I not raise my children to be Christians? Stop. To be Christians, and will my child go to hell? That kind of thing.
Right.
I was raised in a very strict Baptist home. Stop that. Stop. So, and then I thought, how do I tell my family this? How do I tell my friends this? What's going, it was all about me at first, and then I was like, how is he going to be received? Are people going to pick on him?
Yeah.
He wanted to come out right away, and I was like, we live in the South, and as sensationalized as it is with the kids, other parents and other adults are what the problem would be. The kids aren't a problem. It's the adults, and it's the way the adults influence the children. So I asked him to wait until he graduated, which was only just a few months away. So he did. He waited. I mean, his friends knew, his close friends knew, but he waited until after he was out of high school. I just didn't want, I was so afraid of how cruel somebody would be to him. I didn't trust other people.
Right. So now, how do you feel about it now?
I'm fine with it. I think that he's his own person, and I raised him to stand up for himself, stand up for other people that, are being bullied or not, I just wanted him to be happy. And that was my end goal with my children, is that I raised them to be happy and able to stand on their own feet. And, my children were not spoiled. They got spankings. I wasn't one of those parents that said, oh, go sit in timeout. If they did something, they got in trouble for it.
Right.
I realized that I did raise my children the right way. I do believe that God loves everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's primarily what we're taught as Christians, is you love everyone.
That's right.
Regardless. And, one of the things somebody will be able to quote this verse word for word, but there is a verse in the Bible that people used to quote to me whenever they found out and they didn't agree with my son's lifestyle. It says in the Bible that God knitted you and knew you as he knitted you in his womb.
Oh.
And that verse really got to me.
Okay.
And so I started looking into that. Nowhere does it say that he knew you as a male or he knew you as a female.
Mm-hmm.
He said he knew you as he knitted you in your mother's womb. And God knows what you're going to go through. He has already set that plan up for you. I do not think that my son was inhabited by the devil, or anything like that. I think that God knew what my child was going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a purpose for my child.
Absolutely.
Even
if it's for himself or for someone else to learn from.
Yeah. And then I got to where I really didn't care what other people thought about my child.
Right.
If you want to talk, if they wanted to talk behind our backs or whatever, that's on them. My true friends are still my true friends.
Right.
And have accepted my son for who he is. That people that have known him since he was little, that our children grew up together. And his friends are good with it. His true friends stayed his true friends. He still had a lot of growing up to do. He's not living here. He's living in Illinois. But
I think we all have a lot of growing up to do, even at our age.
Yeah.
So let me ask you these questions. I'm going to get a little lighthearted here. What was the happiest time in your life?
Whenever I gave birth the first time.
Really?
My son Dylan. I was told that I would probably never have children.
Oh, wow.
So getting pregnant and having a child, because I always wanted children, was the happiest time of my life. I think just that experience.
What is your biggest passion?
Biggest passion? Oh, I don't know. Probably my husband and my children are my biggest passion. I think I live for them. I really do. I feel like I live for them.
You fight for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and these dogs.
So let me ask you this one. What is the craziest thing you've ever done? And guys, if you haven't seen her past videos, she's done some crazy things.
Oh, guys, I don't ever dare me to do something, because I will probably do it. Gosh. Probably the craziest thing I ever did was become topless in the town square and get on
topless.
Yeah. Okay. And I got on the back of, in Ocala, they're horse country. So you know how different places they like do gators here in Gainesville and Ocala, they put out horses, they designed by different artists. And I got on top of that while I was topless. And then I got into a convertible topless. This is all the same night. So that's probably the craziest thing I did, because had I gotten arrested, oh my gosh, it would have been horrible.
How old were you?
I was going through my divorce. So I was, 32? 32 years old.
Nice.
All because I was dared to do it.
So you were dared to do it, and that's why you did it.
Yeah. They're like, oh, she won't do it. I'm like, you cannot tell me. Don't ever say she won't do it, or you won't do it, or you can't do it, because I'm going to die trying. So
I love it. So how would your best friend describe you to someone else that didn't know you?
I'm trying to think, because my best friends I worked with, I would say my best friend would say that I'm a little anal retentive whenever it comes to work or things that have to be done. It has to be done my way. And it has to be done right. That I am sometimes over the top fun. That I make people laugh. I think that's what it would say.
What is your best quality?
I don't know. I don't know if I have one.
What do you think Joe would say was your best quality?
Well, let's have, if he's there, we'll have him type it in at the same time. I won't look. That I have a big heart, like willing to help anybody. I think that's what he would say.
You think that's what he would say?
Yeah.
What do you think Joe would say is your worst quality?
I nag him too much. My worst quality, he would say, is I worry too much.
You worry too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Larry.
Oh, her loyalty to her family. That's beautiful. What brings you the most joy in life?
My family.
Your family.
My children, Joe.
What are you most proudest of them?
Oh, gosh. For Joe, the most proud I am of him is that he is, how do I say it? Joe is the most kind, loving person I have ever met in my entire life. And very dedicated to the people he loves, to a fault sometimes. So, my children, the thing that I'm most proud about my children is that they're not afraid to stand up for what they believe in, even if it goes against the norm. So
that's beautiful. Beautiful. Tell me about a dream for the future.
It's funny you mention that. Joe and I have been working on a lot of things, but as far as a dream or a goal is I'd like to move closer to where my sister lives in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Within the next 2 to 3 years, and start an eBay business with her. That is in the works. We have a lot of obstacles right now, but we're working on them. But that just, and for Joe to be able to quit work and be a part of that full time.
Do you like to travel?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I am always excited about going somewhere when I first hear about it. Like I get really excited. Yeah. And then whenever it gets closer to the time, I get more anxious and I don't want to go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I want to
back. You feel that way?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've always been like that. Very excited to go and when it comes to the time I have to go, I don't want to do it. It's not that, I don't know. It just creates a lot of anxiety, especially like whenever we went to the meetup, whenever we met Donna, and then like we went to Louisiana for the meetup to meet people there.
Mhm.
I was ready to go. I was so excited. I couldn't wait like to meet all these people that I've talked to. And when I got time to go, I was like, I don't want to go. And I think that was because I was in fear that they would not accept me, that they wouldn't like me once they met me. I know that was a big part of it. And would I fit in? So
how do you overcome the anxiety?
Joe makes me go. He's like, get in the car, let's go. I just do it. I end up just just do it. Yeah, I don't know how. It's like the Nike commercial. It's just do it. I get in the car and I go.
And when you get there, how do you feel?
Anxious at first.
Anxious at first.
Yeah, very anxious at first.
And when you leave, how do you feel?
I guess it depends on each situation. Has been different, but relieved. Relieved. That and I always look forward to going back home.
Yeah.
I've got my bed that's really comfortable.
Right.
My stuff.
What is your favorite thing to do alone?
Masturbate. No, I'm kidding.
I so was waiting for that. Literally, I was waiting for Renee to come out with that because that would have been my answer.
Actually, no, I don't. Favorite thing to do when I'm alone a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I get very lonely. So I don't know. I like to find a good show on TV to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes binge watch that. I like to make jewelry when I can.
Oh.
But that's about it.
I didn't know that you like to make jewelry.
Yeah, I do.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Do you meditate?
No. I've tried.
And?
I don't have the patience for it. I don't. I don't have the patience to sit still for that long. And then I don't just clear my mind. I mean, everything starts bouncing around in my brain, like what I have to do. Some bad things creep in and stuff, and it's like I don't have time for this. I don't have time to sit down and meditate. I need to do stuff. Do I think that it has some healing benefits? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I am a very anxious person. I am a high anxiety person. Like when I go to the doctor and like whenever I broke my ankle or whatever, they're like, okay, relax. I'm like, I am relaxed. They're like, no, you're not. Relax your muscles.
Right.
And I think they are, so I must walk around tense all the time.
If you were to change anything about yourself, what would you change?
I would change the anxiety and depression in my life. I would get rid of, I'd want the anxiety to be gone.
Anxiety to be gone.
So.
Now, have you always had anxiety since you were a child?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you think you know why you have anxiety, or when the reason why the anxiety came up?
Well, I think partly growing up, my parents were got divorced when I was 16. They probably needed to be divorced way before that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there was always fighting going on. My mom was abusive, and I look back on it, and my dad was abusive too because he didn't put a stop to it. Um, Always, because in that situation as a child, you're always worried about what's going to happen to you next. Like, did you do something wrong?
Okay.
Um, I think that caused a lot of my anxiety growing up. That and the pressure that my mom um, put on me growing up
Okay.
to have better grades or play better softball or what I did was never good enough.
So you
Her
feel like
biggest
whatever. Yeah.
her biggest thing was whenever I would say, she always be like, you just need to try your best. I'd be like, I did try my best. Well, your best isn't good enough. That was her thing. And so I still feel like my best isn't good enough. And it causes a lot of anxiety. My health issues cause a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. What skills did you learn growing up that has helped you today in life?
Being an abusive child or being abused as a child um, made me very stubborn.
How were you abused as a child?
Physically and mentally, I was abused.
Physically and mentally.
Yeah. Um, I It wasn't a good childhood. It wasn't. I ran away from home when I was 16 and moved in with a friend. And then a year later, moved in with my father. And my father pretty much raised me. He pretty much raised me when my parents were married because my mom was always gone. Um,
Can I dig deep into the abuse or
you
no?
can. You can.
If you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. If you don't want to,
Sure.
okay. Who abused you?
My mom mainly. Um, the mental abuse was there, but the physical abuse was bad, really bad.
And what did she used to do?
Um, what didn't she do? um, I'll give you an example. If you got in trouble and you got whipped with a belt, you were not allowed to cry. If you cried, you got it worse. And a lot of times you were bare bottomed and fingertips on the fireplace hearth. And if while you were getting beat with a belt, your hands went flat, you got beat more. Um, I'm not taught, I'm bruises. I have scars. I've been punched. I have a scar on my face from being hit with a belt buckle, um, pulled by my hair. Uh, it, it was just bad.
Wow. I'm sorry that you went through that. I really do.
I think it made me stronger. I don't ever want anybody to feel sorry for me for that. It is what it is. It happened. I never did that to my children. It made me a better person. It really did. Because it made me realize what I didn't want to be.
Did you ever, later on in life, did you ever talk to your mom about those instances, the abuse?
Yeah.
And what did she say? Did she?
She denied it. She was like, I may have spanked you or smacked you in the face, but I didn't beat you. Well, it's funny that I had the same stories as my sister that's 6 years older than me. Now, my brother, he was abused. But I would have to say he didn't go through it as bad as my sister and I did. I don't know what the reasoning was. I don't know if it's because my parents were divorced, whenever I was 16, so he would have been 10. So I think he was kind of left to fend for himself. After the divorce, I lived with my mom and I ran away and lived with a friend and their family, and then lived with my father. And then my brother, he ran away when he was about 12 or 13 to a friend's house for a couple days, and then moved in with my dad and I. He was more neglected than anything because my mom's business was her life, running a real estate office and socializing and playing softball and volleyball and bowling. That was her life.
Do you think your mom resented having children?
I don't know. That's the weird thing. Like my brother and sister and I talk, we don't know a lot about our parents. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but like we know where they both came from a family, a large family. They were one of 6 children. Sharecroppers. Their families were sharecroppers, and heard stories here and there. But I think we didn't. I don't know if she resented it or not. I do know that my dad wanted children more than my mom did. And when my mom had children, my brother was born whenever she first started her own real estate office. So that I know that was her dream, to be successful as her brothers and stuff like that. So I don't know that she resented it whenever she had us, but I think after she maybe started her business, it was too much, having a family. I can't tell you many times that my mom was with us for dinner. My dad either cooked or my sister cooked. I started cooking at the age of 10 for our family because my sister went away to college, or maybe I was a little older. She went away. Oh no, I cooked. We shared the responsibilities. And then she went away to college and I cooked for the family because my mom wasn't there. My dad worked all the time. So I had a lot of adult responsibilities as well that most kids didn't have.
Did you ever resent your dad for not stopping the abuse?
Not, the weird thing is no, not until after he was dead. After he died is when I realized that he wasn't the saint that I made him out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got angry because I was like, you know, and it didn't come out until I was talking to my brother and my sister, and I was like, you're right. Why didn't he stop it? He saw it. And according to my sister, he kind of, not that he encouraged the abuse, but when my mom, she said when we moved into a house that she lived in the basement, it was a completed basement and a bedroom, and she could hear my mom and dad talking. And she said many times my mom would come home and my dad would be like, Renee did this, or Tammy did this. You need to take care of it. So I think he pushed that responsibility onto her. And because she did have, she was in a high pressure job. One thing I can say about my mom is that I learned to be strong as a woman because of her.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people during that time, you're looking, like back in this 1974, my brother was born. She owned a real estate office. That was almost unheard of back then.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving her excuses by any means, but she did have a busy life. And to come home after working all day, that's probably not what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So I think my dad pushed a lot of the responsibilities onto her. I have forgiven both of them. I mean, I do believe that they did what they knew best to do
At the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Now, has your mom passed away?
yes, both my mom passed away 9 years on Valentine's Day. So it's been 9 years. My dad has been gone 6 years. So.
Wow, honey. So, what has made the biggest impact on your life thus far?
Biggest impact. As far as people, or
it could be a time in your life, a circumstance.
Cancer made the biggest impact on my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cancer.
What makes Renee angry?
Liars.
Liars.
If I catch you in a lie, that makes me the angriest. I cannot stand it. Because I believe if you are a spouse, a good friend, there is no reason to lie. None. Because I love you unconditionally.
Right.
And it's a trust thing. It takes me a lot to trust someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lie to me, it's hard to come back from.
Yeah. Are you a forgiving person?
It depends.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I am. Sometimes it takes me a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say overall, yes, I am a very forgiving person.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see you as a vengeful person at all.
No, I can't. I mean, there's been times that yes, I have been. Proud of it? No. But I think that's just human nature, is to sometimes you are a little vengeful depending on the situation. but overall, I'm not.
Well, this is going to conclude our interview, but I want to know, what do you want to leave us with? Renee's words.
Always be kind to someone because you do not know what is going on in their life. If they're being mean to you, just keep in mind they could be having a hard time. So just be kind. I know that sounds like Ellen, or I think Ellen says that, be kind, or
No.
but that's you just don't know what somebody's going through, and if they can't be kind back and you've given it your all, you need to be an adult and walk away, because that's still being kind. There's no reason to keep aggravating a situation. Just love one another. Yeah. It's not that hard. I mean, if you don't love them, don't be around them.
Mm-hmm. As Elsa says, let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't need that person in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to torture them or be mean. The kindest thing you can do sometimes is to walk away. If you've done your due diligence and being kind and loving, sometimes it's better just to walk away.
I love that. So now I'm going to open up the questions to the chat. If anyone has any questions to ask Renee, put it in the chat and I will ask her. I just want to say, myself, I'm floored by your story. I've learned a lot. I appreciate you. You are a very strong woman.
See, I don't think so.
I think so. With everything that you have gone through and everything that you've talked to us about, I don't know if I would be as strong.
I think you don't know. I think people say that. I say that to people too, but I think that until you are in those shoes, you don't know how strong you can be. You get put in this situation, you just got to put your big girl panties on and do your best. I've had breakdowns. I've cried. I've yelled. And those things don't make you weak. I think crying and yelling and screaming makes you stronger. But I don't know. I've never really felt like a strong person.
Ronnie G said, Renee, I love you and the compassion, kindness, and love you showed me when I was diagnosed last summer.
Well, Ronnie G is like my kindred spirit. When I met her down in West Palm whenever they had the meetup with Donna and Robin, and she is so much fun to be around. And you can look in Ronnie's eyes and know that she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And she's a loving person. She is so much fun. She was Flash and the neighbor.
Right. I heard that story. I think I heard it when it happened.
Yeah.
I know. Ronnie is amazing as well. I mean, wow. Darlene said, great interview. Awesome. I'm glad. You have a great day, honey. Yep. Annie's saying, blessed day. See, Susanna, crying makes you stronger. It does, Beverly. It does. And when I ask people, about crying and whatnot, I'm an empathic person. So what the other people are feeling, I tend to feel it too.
Yeah.
And I don't like seeing anyone cry because it, like a couple of times you were starting to get a little emotional. And my stomach was already in knots because all I want to do is like go through this computer and just go take you and hold you and make you better.
Well, that just means that you're empathetic person, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
At all. I'm a very empathetic person, and I feel a lot whenever other people are upset, especially children. I've seen a lot of children suffer.
Especially in your field. I can just imagine, and that's something that we didn't talk on, was you being a teacher, HR, always being around children. That takes a toll. That would take a toll on you, Renee.
It does, but I knew that I was in the right profession because I believe that there were children in my life that I taught that I was their only.
You were their advocate?
Not as, yes, and also their sense of steadiness, routine, being there for them. I worked in a school that was considered a Title I school, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's low-income families.
Mm-hmm.
And people walk around with blinders on thinking that they're like everybody else, and their children are like your children because that's how you are. That's how you see your community.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, we had kids that the only food they got was whenever they were coming to school. We had parents that had meth labs in their houses. I had a student. The reason they put me in the classroom, took me out of what I was doing, and I took over a lady's classroom because she had retired and came out of retirement, and she had no patience with her children.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one child in there that changed my life. She couldn't handle him. He had a lot of energy, very sweet little boy. And he was from a family of 7 children. All of them, except for one, were in elementary school. And their mom was dying of cancer. The mom died of cancer. And the grandmother was taking care of the children. They lived in a single wide mobile home with no air condition and no heat. And a grandmother trying to take care of 7 children. Their father was in jail, had been in jail multiple times. He got out of jail shortly after the mother passed away and got custody of all 7. All 6. 6 of the children were his and one was not. So the 6 children that were his, he took, and he was not a good person. I wrote our governor petitioning for grandparents' rights And why would they let I looked up I pulled up his police record. His arrest records and convictions were unbelievable. And he had not been in these children's lives, and he got custody. I kept up with the kids, wrote them, sent them cards and stuff to their other school. I still hear from them. I still hear from the grandmother. We took them food and clothes, and then there was two other children that I dealt with that didn't know they knew who their parents were, but they didn't even know their birthdays.
Oh my God.
We celebrated their birthdays at school. They had no idea it was their birthday. I just can't imagine. I mean, there are things that children have gone through that no child or adult should ever go through. And that's why I taught. That's why I continued to teach. Because there are babies there that needed me.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess anything to do with children, if you just, I don't know. They don't, they didn't ask to be brought into this world. So they need to be taken care of by someone. And Joe and I did a lot of that, a lot of taking care of children behind the scenes kind of thing. A lot of times the parents didn't know that we were putting food on their doorsteps or getting kids new shoes. It happens. It happens. It's still out there. And I think, maybe that's another parting thought. Don't think that somebody's life is always worse than yours.
Yeah.
And you can make someone else's life better. Don't walk around with blinders on.
Steph says, I have a ton of respect and admiration for you being able to navigate and adjust your thinking with regard to your trans son. I think you handled it very well. Made me cry.
I love him very much.
Okay. I just want to go down to see if there's any questions.
Love you, Larry.
All right. I don't think we have any more. That is one of the purposes of being here, helping sing. Bonnie said that is one of your purposes for being here, helping kids and others.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I feel good because, every once in a while you have somebody come back to you.
Yeah.
And say, if it weren't for you. And, I didn't think I knew that I was helping, but you never know how you affect someone until they come back and tell you.
Yeah.
I've had many students come back and say, if it wasn't for you pushing me or for you doing this, I wouldn't have made it, through school. And that always makes you feel good. You did something right. You get a gold star for something.
Yeah. On that note, I don't think there's a better way to leave. You get a gold star.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, you do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day. And as Renee says, be kind.
Be kind.
Bye, everyone. Did you really think we were done without me saying stars and back and angel tickle toes? Mwah!